This is your next door neighbor. How are you doing today? I hope all is well. Congratulations. So I hear that you have decided that you want to get married. Well, that's very good, and I'm happy for you. I just have 11 items that I would like you to look at that you probably already did look at, but to consider prior to going down the aisle. And these three first items that we're going to bring up has to do with be not unequally yoked with unbelievers. And it's more than just believing. It has to do with culture. It has to do a lot of things. So these are the first three. So the first one is, what is their worldview? What do they believe? The next thing could be, number one, culture. Culture is very important. Some people have a culture where they expect a certain person to do all of certain things, and they expect another spouse to do other items, and the roles are very set in that culture. And so you need to know, is that a culture that you can handle? Sometimes these cultures, doesn't matter if the environment has changed, if you're in a new area, a new country, it doesn't matter. They expect you to live up to these ideals. So if that is required, if they have a certain culture, then you are going to have to figure out, is this something that you can handle? It doesn't matter whether you walk down the aisle smiling, you're going to be kicking and screaming, trying to get out of there. If you're not happy with the culture that they have, sometimes their culture may require that parents be involved in the relationship constantly, that the parents are always around. You may not like that. So that's something you need to think of. Is that something that you want? Can you handle that? Some cultures may require, regarding culture, may require you need to speak to the parents, and you need to have a dowry prior to coming forward and trying to have the hands in marriage. That's something you need to consider. Culture. How do they treat their mother? How do they treat their father? Guaranteed, if this spouse treats their mother and their father rudely, they are going to treat you rudely. If they have a problem with authority, that's something you need to think of. You may not be an authority, but you are definitely someone that's going to have some type of say in their life, and they will be defiant to you as they're defiant to people that are in authority. So that's something you need to consider. Like I said, all these have a lot to do with your worldview with certain things. The other thing that you need to get, number 3, is conflict. How do they handle conflict? Certainly, if you're able to observe them in their familial relationships, you'll see how they handle conflict. This person said this about them. This person did this. They didn't like the way their father did this. They don't like the way their mother did this. How did they handle it? Did they go and speak to the person, or did they disrespect them and leave? That's what they're going to do to you. That's what they do. If they're not a person to resolve conflict, to talk about it and resolve it, that's how they're going to handle it with you. And, you have to be careful. And the person should be able to admit when they're wrong. If they made a mistake, they should be able to say, okay, I made a mistake, and try and make efforts to correct it. If they're the type of person to say, well, this is the way I am, you just got to accept me. That's something you need to think about. Is that what you want in a relationship? And how their culture is, how they handle conflict, even with friends, even a simple thing at the restaurant, how they handle the servants, the people that are serving, how they speak to them. These conflict management is very important. And how they handle conflict can get you in trouble, can get you hurt if they don't know how to handle it properly, appropriately. So that's something you need to consider. How do you handle conflict? How do you work with this person? Can you work with this person? Can they admit when they're wrong and move on and move forward? So that is, like I said, number 3 of things you need to consider prior to walking down the aisle. Number 4, how do they handle money? You know, a lot of relationships have broken up. I've seen relationships where this person has been together and they took all the money out of the bank account and went on a shopping spree. Another one, you took all the money out, all the life savings to gamble. These are things you need to consider. Are they risk takers? Will they compromise everything in order to reach another level? And that's fine if you're willing to go with that. If that's something you're not into, if you want something more stable, then you need to consider that. How are they with money? Do they have good credit? Do they pay their bills? Can they manage bills? Are they childish? Do they expect, is their parents the one handling all their bills? Now you're married, you're about to get married, and now you're going to have to be the one to do it for them because they can't even balance a checkbook. That is something you need to consider. It's okay if you know, as long as your eyes are open and you know how it's going to be, that's fine. It shouldn't be a surprise to you because you're going with your eyes open. You're looking at it, not just this one, this one.